Afternoon. Gary Stein, 7035 Belt Link Loop in Wesley Chapel, Florida. As I mentioned, my name is Gary Stein. I am an advocate, an activist, and an author. I recently wrote a book called The Great Green Hope, which has to do with the plant, the prohibition, and the people whose lives have been transformed and saved by it. In previous lives, I also worked for the Centers for Disease Control for over 20 years, worked for the Department of Health for quite a few years, and I also have my degree in public health from Johns Hopkins University. And never during those lives was I ever told that there was a medicine that could treat as many things as I found out when I started researching this book. I found people whose lives were saved who had cancer. A woman who had ALS for 38 years, even though she should have been dead in 1990. I found people who had PTSD, who were in severe trouble, who all of a sudden have a medicine that actually treats them. This is a medicine which would be lauded as a miracle drug if it were not for the baggage that occurred from a campaign of misinformation that occurred in 1937 and proceeds on to this day. And people, especially politicians, are still falling into the trap of being fearful of that fake news of 1937. Now, as I mentioned, I worked for the Centers for Disease Control. One of the things I did was I tracked HIV and AIDS. I used to take patients from testing to treatment and too many times to death. Over and over again, I'd test them, I'd treat them, I'd find out who all their sex partners were, I'd test those people, I'd get those people treated, and I took them to death as well, over and over and over again. And yet there's a medicine out there all that time that could have treated them, that was not toxic to their liver, that could have saved those precious lives, whose faces I see almost every single night. Excuse me, I got a little emotion there. Bit of a sore, I just pulled off there, but I'm sorry. The fact is, this medicine should be available to everybody. Access is the key. And yet Tallahassee has been treating it like a street drug. They just recently published 7 pages of penalties. Penalties to doctors, penalties to caregivers, and penalties to patients if they don't abide by the rules. Access is the key to them not having to go to the black market and not being forced to this. I'll leave you with this. I don't live in Orange County, but I've been told it's a great place to live and I plan on moving here one day. And people who I've been talking to have been told me that you guys were elected because of your intelligence, because of your passion for the county, and because of your courage to make the hard decisions when it was in the benefit of your constituents. Well, 71% of those people in your county voted for this, and they will remember what you do on November the 14th for their benefit, and how many lives we'll have saved by making certain that they have access. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.